Hi. How's everyone doing? I decided I would just pop on, even though I know that a lot of you guys are still filtering in. Um, but might as well chat with you guys a bit. How are you guys doing? I hope everything is going well. Um, oh, Amir, thank you. Good night, and thank you for dropping by. I'm really excited to look at these flutes. Just because they are, new models that I haven't looked at before. Um, I know here and there I played one at like the convention. So, um, as a Powell player, you feel like Burkart will be easier to jump into. Okay, got it. Like basically warm up into the Powell. Is that what you're thinking? Right now it's 50-50 split. But yeah, Nicholas, how are you doing? Hello, Mateo, Savannah, Bill, and Michael. Hello, hello. Um, yeah, so I'm particularly excited about these because these are really high end models of flutes. And I feel like I haven't done a lot, besides last week, I guess, but I feel like I haven't done a lot of these like more custom ones. Um, and so, I feel like this is sort of expanding my I guess my knowledge of how some of like the super high end flutes play. I almost feel like I have a better understanding of how like step up, intermediate, maybe pre-professionals and beginners play. But yeah, this feels kind of uncharted territory for me. So yeah, I'm super excited. Do you guys have any ideas for what other brands you guys want me to review? Because right after this stream is done, I'm going to be shooting off an email to Flute Center for another box. So I think we're going to do something kind of like this with this sort of rhythm where they send me like a box of flutes that I can spread out over 2 streams. Nagahara? Okay. Yeah, I think I haven't done a lot of Nagahara. Should I do more like Japanese brands then? Because I could do Nagahara and like Muramatsu. I would really like to know what like how a current Muramatsu plays. Like what if I did Nagahara, Muramatsu, Miyazawa, Sankyo? I can see if they can. Oh, I guess Nagahara is Boston. That's true. Um, whoops. Um, so what should I do? Um, well, for Brandon, I guess you're right. I could do a current Brandon. I actually haven't thought of that. That would be interesting to compare my Brandon with a current Brandon. That might be interesting. Nagahara Brandon? So it would be interesting if I did the Nagahara and Sankyo together, since Kanichi-san worked for Sankyo before he started Nagahara. That's super interesting. Okay, I might do that. So I'll ask for Nagahara and Sankyo. Okay, cool. Maybe throw in a current Brannon because, yeah, now that I think of it, I'm like, because I didn't even realize how much I sort of wrote off doing reviews of Brannons because I play a Brannon. But no, you are absolutely correct. I should look into sort of like what Brandon is doing currently because I got mine a long time ago. So, yeah, right? A Brandon versus Rose. Then I can ask for 3 flutes then. So I can ask for Nagahara, Sankyo, and Brandon. And then that would easily go for 2 streams. Okay, cool. Let me write this down. Thanks for helping me figure that out, guys. I kind of like the, all of us sort of figuring it out together. So I'm just going to start an email. So we want Nagahara, Sankyo, and Brannon. Cool. Excellent. Combined brain power. Enjoy picking up your friend or relative from the airport. Stay safe on the road. Have a great time. And you know, this stream will be here for you to pick up whenever you have time. So, you know, family and friends first. Uh, wonderful. Okay. Yo, I wonder if I should do, because you know, Nicholas, you mentioned that since I play a Nagahara Mini, you mentioned, like, since you mentioned that, I'm like, I wonder if I should do like a sneaky little fast comparison between Nagahara and my flute and see like why I might enjoy Nagahara. So Lillian used to be piccolo maker for Powell. Wow, would you look at that? So the Lillian that Just Another Flute Guy here is talking about is Lillian Burkart, who is the maker of this flute. That's so cool. Hey Ryan, I see that you changed your profile name again. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Hey Victor, how are you? Guo open hole flutes. Okay, I might save that for later. For you know, I kind of like the Nagahara Sankyo Brandon idea, just to kind of I kind of want to fill in this sort of like high-end custom flutes sort of, you know, missing area of my reviews. So maybe after that we can do a little break and do the Guo, but then I think I would like to keep filling in sort of these gaps in my reviews. I would like to revisit Muramatsu Miyazawa. I know that I have reviewed them before, but new models, and also I am actually curious about reviewing their like really high-end stuff. I think that'd be cool. Could even do like a Muramatsu Miyazawa Yamaha, you know, like could do something like that, because I feel like those three are huge in Asia and in Europe, right? I think it's those three that are like the big ones, you know. So how often does a high-end flute receive a different maker's head joint? So you're asking, Victor, how often flutists will swap their head joints, right? At least where I'm from, it's very, very often. Like, I'm one of them. And it's actually seen as a way to customize your flute to fit you better. Yeah. So mostly Sankyo and Muramatsu in Europe. Okay. I wonder. Okay. Muramatsu. So maybe I should do Sankyo and Muramatsu then. So if we did, I'm going to put it on here too. Muramatsu. Yeah, because I recently learned that Muramatsu was huge in Europe. So I kind of wanted to, like, you know, do a deeper dive on that. Sankyo. Yeah, I think we were going for Sankyo versus Nagahara. Oh, Altis. That's a really good one. Hey Flo, how are you doing? Okay. I am going to, I think, write it in my little ideas location here. Okay, so let's see. There we go. So, so we are looking at, so for flutes, yeah, I actually have Altis listed here. That's great, but like maybe we could do Altis Muramatsu. We could do that. There we go. People in Europe love putting Lafon on Miramatsus. Oh. Maybe that's an interesting thing that I can try then, because I can essentially try what people like and then essentially see, like, kind of figure out why. Plus Lafon head. So I'm putting on here Miramatsu plus Lafon head joint. Do you know what people like to put on altis? See, so for Flo, your flute teacher who studied at MDW, what is MDW in Vienna, said to you there's only Miramatsu versus Sankyo. Okay. I'm doing pretty good, Flo. Thank you so much. Altis is Japanese but heavily inspired by Louis Lott. And played by, William Bennett. Oh, okay. Got it. I'm just going to look it up now. Oh, University of Music and Performing Arts. Okay, got it. In Vienna. Wonderful. Oh my God, established in 1817. Everything in Canada and America feels so little, so young in comparison. Yeah, there you go. University of Music and Performing Arts in Vienna. I just Googled it too, so that's what I got. So Louis Lott is also Jean-Pierre Rampal's preferred flute. Interesting. Does Flute Center have? Ooh, I'm putting that in here. So you're saying that Jean-Pierre Rampal really liked it. Okay, so Jean-Pierre Rampal. Okay, interesting. Very old French flutes, kind of like the Stradivarius of the flute world. Well, I definitely want to try it then. Then I definitely want to try. I can see that the price of them still holds up like crazy. Like I'm just looking at the few Louis Lotts that are on Flute Center. Yeah, their worth definitely still holds up. So also standardized inline G to save cost. Oh, I see. Got it. Okay, I've put that in here because I think that is super interesting. Because like maybe we could do like a Louis Lott altis. That might be interesting. Because altis is inspired by Louis Lott and played by William Bennett. Like, what if we did that? That might be super interesting. Like, then I can see where it's coming from, right? Okay, so we have a Miramatsu against Sankyo and then an altis against Louis Lott. I think that might be super interesting. Louis Lott versus altis versus Miramatsu. Could do. I could do that. Altus A15 on their website says it's inspired by Lewis. That's so cool. Let me put that A15 then. Altus A15. Like, if I can get my hands on that, that'd be amazing. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all of this. This gives me like a really good idea of what I can do. A15 is the old 1507. Have I reviewed that? That seems familiar to me. What have I reviewed? Good Lord. I did the 907. Okay, then in here. Yeah, I did the 907, so I haven't done the 1507. Yeah, I did the 907. Yeah. I just looked it up. Okay, cool. Then, so the A15 you're saying is the old version of 1507. Okay. Or 1507 is the old one. Got it. So is the old 15. Okay. Old version of 1507. So maybe I could just like, you know, if I can't get an A15, then I can try the 1507. Yeah, we can try that. So if I look up Altus A15, what do I get? Okay, yeah. So the A15 is here. Yeah, A15, and it's in parentheses is 1507. Okay. That is possible. We can do this. You know, the more we talk about this, the more I kind of want to do the Lewis Lot one first. Would you guys be okay with that? And then I could do the Nagahara one later. Cause like really the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. Okay, so we have Nagahara, Sankyo, and a Brannon. Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah, Lewis Lot versus Altus would be super interesting. Yeah, exactly. So then, and then maybe what I can do is maybe in the same box, I can ask for a Miramatsu, maybe with a Lapon head joint and a Sankyo. See if they can cram all of these instruments into the same box. If they can't, then we're just going to have to do, you know, one at a time, which is no big deal. So, okay, very cool. Well, we have talked long enough about this stuff. I'm going to end the poll now. It looks like Burkart won. So let's start with the Burkart. So the Burkart is the Elite. I'm just going to copy and paste the official name into my notes here. So, copy, and let's put it in here. Oh man, Elite Burkart. We're gonna have to make this smaller. I hope you guys don't mind. Just so that it can fit in here. The reason why I have to make the name so long is because there are many versions of this Burkart Elite. In particular, if you're looking for the exact listing of this particular Burkart, it is listed as the Burkart Elite flute in 0.998 silver with 14 karat tone holes and rings. And I realized that the Flute Center used what you see here, this shorthand, 14K THR, to make that distinction. So, because I didn't want to just put Burkart Elite because that is not the exact listing that you guys, you know, of this particular one. Okay, so now I'm going to I'm going to open up the I'm going to open up the product page, but I'm just having trouble actually doing that. There we go. Okay, I got it open, and if you guys want to follow along, it is in the description box below this video. I'm just going to put the Powell off to the side for now, and we will switch to this screen so that you guys can enjoy looking at the Burkart in all its glory. There she is. Oh, isn't she pretty? So pretty. And then there's actually a second head joint that we will be trying, because I believe this is the one that, like, if you go to the product page, you'll see that you can choose 2 different cuts. So this one is the S4 cut, and then the other head joint option that we have is, I believe, the M2. So let me see which one it is. It's this one. Yeah, so this baby. So this one is the 14 karat riser M2, because you can get all sorts of different you know, combos and stuff. So yeah, if you go to the product page, you will see that there's tons of stuff you guys can, you know, what's the word, customize on your flute. So this particular version here is, I think, most of the bells and whistles. And I don't know if you guys can tell on camera. I think you guys can. But you can see that the tone holes are 14 karat gold. You see that they have that more pinky sheen than the silver tubing. Yeah, and then I think these are the rings, right? Because these are the ones. Tell me if I'm incorrect, but I believe these are rings. These little guys right here. So you can see those are 14 karat gold as well. Right here, these 2. I'm gonna give you guys a slightly better close-up. Yeah, now you guys can see that. See that tone hole is 14 karat, and the rings are 14 karat as well. It's super pretty, guys. It's insanely pretty. I'll show this like this. Focus that for you guys. Look at that. Gorgeous, no? I love it. It's so freaking pretty. With the rings here, 14 karat rings. Makes the 14 karat tone holes and rings makes a huge difference. It's much more resistance and warmth. Oh, I wonder if you, because of that, get more of that, like, really, like, warm, rich, mellow sound. So interesting. Okay. And so we'll start with the S4 since it was in here. I believe this one is, I'm just going to take a look at the, what we've got here in the little trial invoice here. Yeah, so the Burkart S4 is 0.998 pure silver tube, sterling silver lip plate, riser, and crown. So sterling silver is 0.925, so it like lightens up on the silver a bit there, which probably is really nice just to kind of balance out how dark the tone must be with 0.998 pure silver. This is 0.016 inch tubing, so standard wall cut, S4 cut. Okay, wonderful. This head joint is included in the purchase of this whole flute. All right, let me zoom out a bit so you guys can oogle it. All right, you guys can oogle that while I read out the full specs here. So I'm referring to the trial invoice because that way I know for sure I'm reading the correct thing, because I could read it out on the product page, but I'm really scared I'm going to accidentally miss something. So anyway, pure silver 0.998 hand cut head joint with sterling silver lip plate and riser, which is what I just described. Pure silver body, so that 0.998 silver. Sterling silver mechanism. Okay, so the mechanism is sterling silver. I can kind of tell from the light. I'm not sure if you guys can, but this silver is actually a deeper silver than the mechanism. You can see that the mechanism is like a little bit lighter. Burkart micro link pinless mechanism. That is super cool. I've never actually heard of that. So I guess this is something that Burkart developed, maybe? You can tell me in the chat if I am correct. Soldered 14 karat rose gold, soldered 14 karat gold tone holes and rings, which is what we were just oogling. Silver ribs, and posts. So I think those are like the rods, right? French open hole model, pointed key arms, white gold springs, Pisoni S2 and Lucien Deluxe pads. So I've heard of Pisoni pads, but not Lucien Deluxe. So that's new to me. 0.016 inch tubing, so standard wall tubing, tuned at A equals 442 with offset G, split E mechanism, which you can tell it has a split E because it has this extra little bit right here that pushes down one of the G keys here when you play a high E. And that makes the high E more, like less resistant, and also just a little bit more stable. C-sharp trill, which is why we have an extra little nubby up here. This is the B flat lever right here, and then next to it is the C-sharp trill. D sharp roller right here, and B foot joint, as we can see here. Okay, so that's what we're working with here. Pretty much all the bells and whistles. The price is very steep. This is 100% professional model, like professional prices that you're looking at. So with this entire setup here, with the S4 head joint here, we are looking at currently, as of February 2025, $26,250. So yeah, it is steeper than when I got my flute, but I got my flute before all the crazy inflation that we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years. So it's pretty steep. Okay, so it's time to put it together. Let's go back to this screen. So we're going to start with the S4. Put here, starting with, or maybe what I can do is for this, we'll go S4 head joint cut. There we go. So anyone walking in here into this stream randomly in the middle will know what we're doing. Okay. Let's put it together. Do you guys mind if I just sit for this stream? Because I'm going to be completely and utterly real with you guys. I did a really hard workout this morning. And I'm always kind of dead after a really hard workout. So we're just gonna be relaxing here, okay? Okay, my first impression upon picking this up is, holy crap, this is heavy. I don't know if that is because of the 0.998 silver that is making it heavier. I don't know. I truly don't know. But it does feel very heavy to me. But maybe it's also just because I'm a C-foot Brandon player, so now everything feels heavy to me. Oh no, don't fall in love with this one. Hey, Chef Maiku, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Okay, so I was thinking that this what's it called again? Micro link pinless mechanism is like the Broger for Brandon Miyazawa. That's what I was thinking. So it's their proprietary pinless system. Oh, that's so cool. I would love it if someone went into a deep dive of like what makes them unique from each other, you know? So Lucien Deluxe is Pisoni's higher end pads. Oh, I learned. See, look at me learning so much today. I love it. So the gold mellows it out quite a bit. So these tone holes, right? Plays and behaves more like a gold flute for you than a silver. Oh, let's see how it feels on me. It feels like a gold head joint on a silver body than a full silver flute. Oh, I do know how that feels for me. So I wonder if this is what this is gonna like feel like that. Okay. So this is what Grand Prof Carol Winsink plays, minus the 14 karat tone hole and rings. Ooh, is this the Burkart Elite? Ooh, a 998 with a PT head joint. Is that the Piedmont head joint? Pinless is heavier than pinned mech. Yes, that I do know. Pinless is heavier. So for people who really want to lighten up their flute, they may actually opt to get a flute that has pinned mechanism. This is a thing. Yeah. The 14 karat tone holes add weight to it. True. Yes. Okay. Chef Maiku is allowing me to sit, so I shall keep sitting. Okay, we are going to mess around with, I'm just going to noodle around, mess around a little bit. The two pieces that I'm going to pick for myself today, because as much fun as I have doing the sight reading thing, I'm just going to be real with you guys. I don't feel like it today. It'll happen on another review. There'll be many more reviews for us to do that on. But today, I don't feel like it. We're going to do two Genshin themes. One that tests the lyricism and goes, down high, like low, and goes up real high. And then we will do another one that tests the technical aspects of it, which also goes very low and goes very high. So that's just going to be the way it is today. I'm not sorry. So let's do some noodling around, and then I will go into harmonics. Okay. Oh, not Piedmont. Piedmont is a different brand, isn't it? Last week's brand, right? Haynes, right? Platinum head joint. So Carol Winsink has the 998, the Burkart Elite with a platinum head joint. Ooh, that cuts right through. Ooh, very soloistic flute, you know? to say I'm very impressed with how even they got the ring finger, the F sharp key, to be with the not the F sharp key. I think technically we call this the D key. I forget. E, D, something like that. But anyway, the right hand ring finger key feels very close to the middle and index fingers, because I often find that on flutes that have the split E mechanism, you can definitely feel that the index and the middle finger keys are, because you're pushing down more keys. But especially if there's a split E, I find that you can really feel the difference between these three. But this is I'm like immediately impressed at how even it is. Like I can only notice a difference if I'm actually looking for it. But if I'm not looking for it, I don't notice it. That's extremely impressive. Okay, when you say like powerhouse flute, I get it. I feel like that air bubble inside of my mouth has to be really big. Not necessarily very wide, but taller. So personally, I find that flutes that use a larger air bubble in the mouth, they tend to be more powerhouse flutes. Like they tend to want more air. They tend to project like crazy. I do have to say, I really like the mellowness and darkness of the tone on this. And I think that's the 998 silver plus the 14 karat tone holes. Like that combo is so dark and mellow. I personally am a big fan. I really like it. But it's like, again, I feel like I'm too small to play this really well, you know, like naturally. So let's do some harmonics now. Okay, I said O because I think the like outlier harmonic is the high B flat, which I don't actually feel this on many flutes. Most flutes, the one harmonic that doesn't really follow the pattern of where the other harmonics want to sit in your mouth, tend to be high E, high G. Like it usually tends to be around there. So this is making me think, because usually wherever that outlier harmonic is, that's usually intonation wise and also resistance wise tends to be the weak point of that flute. So there's no 100% perfect flute. There is a perfect flute for you, but there is no one perfect, one true flute. Okay, there's no such thing. And if there was, the world would be so boring. Okay, so I never want there to be a perfect flute. Hi, Glenn. Thank you. So, my suspicion then is that something to do with I would say probably the resistance, or like where that note wants to sit. Like it will be suddenly, I think, more forward when you get up really high. So like top end of the high register into the fourth register. I currently can't find where the C7 is, so unfortunately y'all are going to have to bear with me just moving my air bubble around until I can find where that C7 wants to sit. If I can find where that C7 wants to sit, then I think I will have made a bigger stride in figuring out this flute. So give me a second to, figure things out. It is actually legitimately so strange for me for that high G to sit precisely where I predict it to and not be a little bit more forward than where I predict it to be. Absolutely wild to me. So yeah, like for the bulk of what you play in real life, this flute is just going to feel, I think, just very, very predictable. Yeah, it's the high B flat. The high B flat is suddenly lower and way more forward, like with high airspeed. It's really interesting. So, yeah, that I think the high B flat is the outlier. Okay, it peaked out a bit. I think I need to do more duck face to get more space, I think. Almost coming out. I cannot tell right now if the air bubble needs to be more forward or higher. So I really should just settle on one and see how the flute reacts. So I'm going to try and do it more forward right now and see if that's what this flute wants. Okay, not quite, partially because I feel like I don't have enough mouth for such a high airspeed. to have the air bubble be so far forward. So I am noticing, though, there seems to be more success if the air bubble's a little higher. So I'm going to try that. Okay, it's higher. But I technically don't have enough space to do it. So I did what I talked about last week, which is that if you don't have enough front of the mouth space for a note to come out, I find that if you tilt your head back and then duck face it out more, you can sort of manually create a little bit of extra room that you normally would not have. So I'm gonna try it one more time just to see if I'm correct. I think it's a little higher, but I don't think I actually have enough mouth space to do it. I'm already making this slobber. That's amazing. I think I'm going to flute flag it. Where is my flute flag? Right here. Perfect. Okay. Oh. All right. Amazing. So I am curious if maybe the M2 might change where everything's sitting in the mouth, because this is very forward playing. This is a very forward playing flute. More forward, I would say, than my own flute. Hey, Saturday, how are you? Correct. I am correct. It came out really beautifully. Okay. Yes. For a person like me who doesn't have enough mouth space to do it, I think you guys could see the moment I actually did it. I just tilted my whole head back and then that creates more space in your mouth that you don't actually have. So now I am ready to map this out for you guys. So let me, it's time for the sad excuse of a whiteboard. It's time. Yes, duck face and head back. So push comes to shove. You gotta do what you gotta do, right? That it's a great, okay, the duck face and head back is absolutely not what you should do on a flute that you're thinking of purchasing for yourself. I'm going to straight up tell you guys that, okay? If you guys are doing this in order to get a note out, honey, that flute is not for you. That flute might be beautiful and a perfect fit for many other people, but that flute ain't for you. Okay? Exactly. One should not have to do that on your own flute. Exactly. So, teachers out there. By the way, this was for Victor. teachers out there, if you notice that one of your students has to do something like that, where they're like going like this and then like duck facing it up to play something, especially for high notes or something like that, please, if it is within their budget or their parents' budget, please go flute shopping with them. Find them something that fits them better, okay? No, ain't nobody needs to play the flute like that. Well, just me, because I have to review these. Okay, so let's do this. So we are now a drawing. So here we go. So we will start first by saying that this is our Burkart Elite. And this is the 998 on the S4 head joint. Okay. Oh, I guess I should also say 14 karat tone holes and rings. Okay. Very cool. So let's draw our horrendous drawing that we know and love. This is really bad, guys. But I'm just not really in the mood to do too much correcting. Let's just say that's good. Okay. We'll do our lips. Oh, not that much of a duck face. Okay. Well, that's still a duck face. That is even more of a duck face. We're just wanting to do the duck face today. We'll do that. Okay, that's good enough. So, our low C. So C4 is really far out. I feel like I'm concentrating the air bubble way out here. So this is C4. Then as we go up, I'm actually going to skip a few because I know that so right here, right around where the teeth are, that is where G6 is. Okay, so everything in between is kind of like the rest of the flute. So I'm just going to check before I draw them in. Go backwards. Let's go backwards. So E6 is right here. E6. Okay. Did I turn into a Southern mama there for a while? Sometimes it happens, guys. Sometimes it just turns into a Southern mama sometimes. So it feels like it drops. So our C6 is like here. Oh, sorry, 5. C5 is here. And then no, I was correct. It was 6. Okay. So C6. Yeah, it drops down. Oh, okay. There's not a lot of space in here, but okay, we'll try our best though. So it drops like this, then it goes forward again. So our G5 is like here. So that's G5. Then it's interesting because the C5 is like here. So it's in front of the G5, but it's a little above the C4. It's like diagonally up and back from the C4. So this is C5. It's interesting. So it's like C4 is like low and very forward. It's like, I feel like it's like almost at like the outer edge of my lower lip. Then it comes up and back for C5. Then mostly just back for G5. Mostly back, just back for C6, but like tilted up a slight bit. And then it like does a steep incline. E6 is at the tip of the top front teeth. G6 is like in the middle of the top front teeth. Then the B flat 6 is where it gets interesting. So the B flat 6 suddenly is out here. So that's B flat 6. And then this is the part that I don't actually have room for. But if you do, you'll love this flute. The C7 is above it, right here. Now, I actually don't have room for this. I have to do the duck face and head back in order to make enough room to be sort of like at the correct angle in relative to the flute. So when I do that, I hope you guys can see that I'm not tilting the flute with me. I'm keeping the flute in the same position, but my head is the one that's, you know, nodding upwards and me doing the duck face. But technically my mouth does not actually have room for that. So this to me, I think this will work very well for someone who has a lot of space between their lips and their teeth. So if you have like a lot of like fleshiness that you feel like you can really play with a lot of like kind of like air bubble kind of tuck in front of your teeth. Like you can see from my diagram here, nothing goes behind the teeth. It's actually incredible. This thing is like so far forward. So what this is going to tell me is that the tonguing is probably going to be a lot of what I call faux French tonguing. So it's when you tongue between your teeth. So true French tonguing is when you tongue from between your lips. So you start with the tongue between the lips. You draw it back while blowing out air. And it creates this kind of like really nice effect that's really good on French romantic music. But just to get a good clear tone on this flute, I'm expecting that you're mostly going to be tonguing between the teeth. So the only spots that you would tongue a tiny bit higher is if you are playing in the bottom half of the high register. That's it. So we can test this. Let's go back to here. And you know what? Let's write a few notes so we don't forget. So B flat, high, B flat harmonic is the outlier, much more forward and down. Generally very forward playing flute. Everything is from teeth and forward. Let's see. Okay. Cool. So let's try out the tonguing now. So articulation. Messing around a little bit. Yeah, most of your tonguing for most of this flute is right between the teeth. So that makes your tonguing actually a lot more just consistent because you don't have to move your tongue around a lot. So when you're performing, you're going to have a lot more consistency in your tonguing. You probably won't crack notes as much because you're just tonguing in one spot for most of the flute. So I think the only place to really look out for is bottom half of the high register. If you guys noticed, did you guys notice me like doing a little bit of like a double chin sort of thing there for the low note? So I figured that since it's the same idea as cocking my head back and like doing more of a duck face to make room to play the C7. Technically speaking, I feel that the C4, the lowest C, is too low for me to play comfortably. But I was like, well, then what I can do is keep the flute in the same spot, but I can actually move my own head back. And then when I play as forward as I can, then that will sit in the right spot relative to the flute. And it worked. I don't know if you guys could hear how much better that low C sounded. I had to play like that. Again, this is not something you want to do if you are flute shopping and you're deciding on a flute. If you have to do this like double chin business, cock your head back with like, you know, the extreme duck face to play things, that's not the flute for you. Okay. It's a beautiful flute. But if you're doing those things to play a flute, that's not the flute for you. Anyway, just wanted to make that clear. But yeah, as you can hear, if this flute suits you, you hear how nice those low C's are. Oh, beautiful. So, yeah, I'm definitely noticing the tonguing is just mostly between the teeth because everything is so forward and just like in front of the teeth that is where it needs to be for most of it. So I do want to try double tonguing for a hot second. interesting. So because you're tonguing so far forward, the double tonguing is, in my mind, what I personally call sort of it's almost a almost not there double tonguing. So you're not doing a very percussive tucka tucka tucka, like even against the roof of your mouth. Because if you do a true tucka and you do the K against the roof of your mouth, that's actually too far back for this flute. I was noticing some of that like swallowed sound. So anytime you can hear that your sound sounds swallowed, and especially if you're tonguing on your flute, it means that you're hitting your tongue way too far back for your flute. And yeah, what it also does is like wherever your tongue hits, it tends to encourage, like it encourages your mouth to focus the air bubble at that point, right? So if you're tonguing too far back, it will encourage you to form that air bubble way too far back, and thus you get that really swallowed sound. So the double tonguing is so light, I almost feel like I'm not making contact with the K. Like it's so forward and so it's so forward that it feels like I'm almost not saying tucka tucka. Like I'm more saying like really like way forward in the mouth. It's not tucka. It's as far forward as possible. So tonguing mostly between teeth, double tonguing, but I'll put except for bottom half of high register. Double tonguing is so forward that there's almost no contact on the K. Lets you tongue faster too. Exactly. That was, you hit the nail right on the head. That was the next point I was going to make, was that since you don't have to make like intense contact with another part of your mouth for double tonguing, I could see how this would allow you to go way faster for double tonguing. So this is kind of one of those like this is what you get when you get a high-end flute, is you get the ability to do double tonguing, you know, in a manner that allows you to go way faster, which is essentially because you just don't have, you can, it's like kind of mumbling and slurring through your double tonguing. It's like it's basically mumbling through your double tonguing, but it sounds clear on this. It's really interesting. So Saturday, you use daga 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 on your sankyo. Daga 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 daga. So further back, is that right? Daga 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 daga. I can feel that that's like mostly against the roof of my mouth. Manuel, hello. So you switch between tucka, tada, daga on traverso. Yes, on traverso, it makes an insane difference. Like straight up different articulation. It just sounds different, you know? And you're absolutely correct that you want to use slightly different articulations for different movements, different pieces to get certain effects across. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so we've done articulation. Let's mess with some tone color stuff, tone color dynamics. See where that gets us. Okay, that's too much. enough mouth to do this. I don't, did you guys see me do this again? Yeah, but this is leading me towards what I think this flute wants. Okay, so there's a few things that I'm testing, which is why sometimes it sounds good and sometimes it doesn't. On some flutes, you want to open up the space behind the air bubble. And on some flutes, you want to open up or close up the bubble itself. I would say that this flute is a mess with the bubble itself type of flute. So this is why I don't have enough mouth space to do this. If you want that really thin, tiny pianissimo sound, you just make your air bubble super tiny. If you want it really loud, you have to make the air bubble huge, which is why I had to play like this. Just to like artificially make extra space in front of my teeth in order to do so. Let me mess with tone color though. I want to see if it's that narrowing and widening thing. So you mess with the air bubble, you make it narrow for that thinner sound, woodsier sound, and then you make the air bubble really wide and flat for that richer sound. So that part to me is very predictable. This is exactly how I would expect, most flutes to kind of like behave with tone color and stuff. So I'll put here small air bubble equals pianissimo, large air bubble equals fortissimo. Make sure you have enough space in front of teeth to pull this off. So this may be why some people might experience a flute and be like, I feel so muted. No matter how much air I put into it, it just doesn't get loud enough. Likely it's one of these issues where the flute wants you to have that air bubble, you don't physically have the space for it. Or not only do you may not have the physical space for it, it just may not be where you want to put your air bubble, right? So this certainly would explain why, like, when you listen to someone else play a different flute or from you, and maybe you've tried that flute before and you're like, honey, I have no idea how you're making that flute sound so beautiful. Well, it's because y'all are two different people. Okay. By the way, hi, blind guys. See you in the chat. Okay. So I'll put here narrow air bubble equals thin, and then wide flat air bubble. I need to clean my keyboard, guys. You see, like, my A doesn't want to come out all the time. Equals thick, rich. Okay, I'll put rich. Okay, rich sound. Okay, so now we have mechanism. So, Nicholas, please. This is why I say, if you have to do all the crazy things that I do in order to make these flutes sound good, that's not the flute for you, okay? You should not have to do all of these crazy gymnastics to make it sound good. Okay. There we go. mechanism stuff. I'm so impressed with how smooth this split E is. I'm so impressed. It's extremely impressive, guys. Also, I'm leaking all over myself. Yeah, but that split E is so smooth. You know, like, cause I totally know that there are people out there who can absolutely feel the split E. You know, it's like feels clunky, blah, blah, blah. Oh, let me tell you, this Burkart one. Wow, that's smooth. That is so smooth. Wow. Okay. I'm very impressed with the fact that there are no keys on here that feel floppy. Normally, your two floppy keys will be the gizmo and the B flat lever. Both of those have really nice bounce. I would say that the C sharp trill has better bounce. It's a little bit more resistance, but I have a feeling that because this is their proprietary pinless mechanism, I have a feeling you can get that custom to how you like it to feel. I have a feeling. No, don't take my words as law and truth and the way and life. It's not, okay? But I have a feeling that because it is their proprietary pinless mechanism, the micro link pinless mechanism, I think you can get that customized to your preference. Nicholas, please. Okay. Yeah. The trill keys have a really nice bounce. So the bounce is what's going to get you that like really vibrant trill. Okay. If your trill keys are like floppy or they like come up slow, if they don't have that snap, okay, the like bend and snap, okay, like if you need that like bounce, okay, you need the snap. If it doesn't have the snap, it doesn't give you that really, really like vibrant sounding trill, okay? So I feel like this flute is really a soloist's flute. Like it has all the makings of it, like with all the like auxiliary keys being this kind of like snappy feel. The mechanism, I would say, to me, oh my god, so even, like insane. Like that split E is so even. You like if I was playing this blind, I would have to play it a bit for me to even detect that it's split E. Because usually when I play a flute, I can like immediately tell that it has split E. But on this one, like if I wasn't looking at it, I think I'd have to play it for a while before I realize that it's a split E. Because there is like a tiny difference if you're looking for it, but if you're not looking for it, you can't tell. It's like actually insane. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, all the keys have it's like really good bounce. I would say medium resistance. So it's not light. It's not crazy resistant either. It's like medium resistance with great bounce. Really good bounce. Like that just snaps right up. Interesting. The split E on the Nagahara is underslung. Oh, I'm curious about that. I'm probably gonna whip out my my Trevor James copper alloy, because my Trevor James copper alloy does have split E's. So I think that'll be really cool for us to do a little comparison. Yeah. It's okay for spoilers. I'm okay with spoilers. At least for flutes, I'm okay with spoilers. Yeah. Okay. So I will put here medium resistance, incredible bounce. Incredible. Just snappy. It's so like really good for like soloistic stuff, you know? Snap. And then split E is so smooth. Wow. Smooth and even. Wow. Yeah. So really good stuff. Yeah. I'm man, working with these custom flutes, man. They are really nice. Okay. So I think I've covered most, like pretty much everything that I normally cover. And so I would like to do a really quick, I'm just going to do a little bit of Genshin Impact main theme, because it goes kind of middle, high, and then low. And then I'm going to play Rapid as Wildfires, which is the battle music in the Liyue area in Genshin Impact. So, okay, let's try this. It's a little muted because my air bubble is not big enough in front of my teeth. So give me a sec. in terms of how this flute works, I have nothing to add. But in terms of like the application of everything we just talked about, what I noticed was that when I went from B5 up to A6, now on most flutes, thanks, Victor. On most flutes, you have to kind of like tuck that higher note up and back. But for this one, because, you know, we talked about how that B flat like suddenly is like in the front and down. So here, right? That B flat 6 and A is like literally right below it, right? So because of that, I feel that going from it's a B5, so you can see on this map where the B5 would be, it'd be right between the G5 and the C6. So you're going to be very intuitively kind of shoving your air bubble higher, but not further back, you know, because we're literally going higher in pitch. A lot of people will think that it's very intuitive to kind of like shove the air bubble up, right? A lot of people like raise their eyebrows, you know, when they play high notes, they go like that with their eyebrows. And that kind of encourages everything to kind of move upward in your mouth too. So I can see how like that felt extremely intuitive to me, and really comfortable. So I can see how that type of thing would be very, very comfortable on this flute. Like, you know, those swoops up into the high notes are going to be so nice on this just because they're so intuitive. Let's try Rapid as Wildfires now. This involves a lot of double tonguing, and I'm going to try to do that like really forward double tonguing like that and see how that goes. So I do have my Bluetooth pedal over here, so hopefully I can change pages quickly enough. Okay, here we go. First thing I'm noticing, usually this middle register E, and there's so many of them tongued here, usually this middle register E is really easy to crack. And in my experience, it's because that middle register E, your tongue and your air bubble needs to be in a slightly different spot from the notes below it and the notes above it. But because on this flute, your middle register E is going to be between where the C5 and the G5 is. So it's just all the way out there. But all of the other notes are also tongued right there. So the notes from like your lowest note, low C, all the way up until like C6, okay? All of those notes are tongued with your tongue right there. So I don't know if you noticed just how stable that middle register E was as a result. It like usually it doesn't have that kind of crazy stability. So that's the first thing I noticed. So tempted to like make more contact with my tonguing. It's actually very like very just disconcerting actually to hear very clear tonguing when I'm just going it's very disconcerting to me. Wow. You can hear a halo around my sound. Yes, I do agree. Yeah, it has that kind of warm halo, right? Okay, keep going. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm sorry I am so rough on this, uh, but I am trying out a few things. So I think I have pretty much, proven to myself at least that, yeah, because your tonguing is all like mostly in the same place, it makes going up and down the registers like this very even. So I'm very impressed is what I'm saying. And that middle register E is just so stable on this. And I find it interesting that the reason the middle register E is stable is because your tongue does not have to be in a different spot compared to the other notes. That's super interesting. Okay, I can see the time and I know I need to keep going. So I'm going to keep going. So we'll put this here. Intuitive, swooping up to high notes. And then also super stable middle register E's because they are tongued in the same spot as notes around it. Yeah, I usually find that that is what makes the middle register E so unstable on some flutes, because the notes around it, that air bubble is definitely moving and further back. So you actually do have to, because any movement that is around the teeth and behind it means that your tongue has to move with it. I find that if the air bubble is more or less moving, but like in front of your teeth, then all you need to do is tongue between your teeth and you're golden. Like that's totally fine. Because it's so far forward that your tongue can't come further forward unless you're doing a true French tonguing. So that's super interesting. It makes me wonder about like the whole French style tonguing thing, if like part of the reason of like why it sort of stabilizes notes and kind of gives that really nice effect at the beginning of notes is because it's sort of like placing your note in a place that just kind of gets the air moving, gets that air bubble going. It's interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's a very predictable flute. Exactly. Like your tongue is mostly in the same spot. Like the mechanism is extremely smooth, snappy. I would say that this is absolutely a soloist's flute. Yeah, 100%. Or like first flutist, Wonderful. Okay, we need to try the we need to try the M2 head joint cut now. So let's try that. Oops, M2. Okay, so let's just switch that out. I'm just going to swap this really quickly though. Alexander Haskin and his recording of the Arpeggione Sonata, buttery smooth. Are you thinking that he's also playing a very predictable flute too? Yes, please send the link. Can you send it to the Discord? Then like everyone can listen to it. Okay, this one, guys. This one is not just an M2 cut. I can see that it has a 14 karat riser. I can like just straight up see it. Yeah, 14 karat riser. So let me read the specs to you guys. Okay. So yep, M2 cut, 0.998 pure silver, so also pure silver here. Silver lip plate. I guess sterling silver? I cannot tell. Let me see if there's that option. Head joint options. Silver lip plate. Okay. I'm going to guess it's sterling silver. 14 karat gold riser and silver crown. 0.016 inch tubing, so standard wall, M2 cut. Alone is $3,260. You can add $860 to the price of a 998 silver Burkart flute if you're going to get this cut. The S4 is the one that's included in the purchase of this Burkart 998 silver flute, which I forgot to mention. The S4, if you wanted to get it alone, is $2,400. By the way, all of these prices are only like what they are currently. If you are watching this in the future and inflation has happened, is not these prices anymore. Okay? As, you know, due to location and time of sale. All right? Okay. Very good. So this, I think, will add even more warmth to the sound. I believe we need to have a little bit of a comparison. So let's do this so that you guys can see. The one on the right is S4 and the one on the left is M2, and yeah, M2 is definitely way more square. Yeah, way more square. So probably it's actually like a tad shorter too, isn't it? This might actually fit me better. I think Nicholas is right. I think this is going to fit me better. But yeah, you can totally see the gold riser in there. All right, that's what we're working with. Yeah, way more square. Holy crap. Yeah. Maybe that air bubble might be smaller. Maybe. I don't know. We shall see. Okay. I'm definitely a square cut player, 100%. I've known this for a very long time. I'm a square cut player, and especially if the square cut is a little bit more narrow, then it's perfect for me, which is that's kind of what we're working with here. So let's see what the difference is. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the air bubble is noticeably smaller. The placement of the air bubble, it seems to be very similar to what we just did, but it like the air bubble for sure is smaller. can't find the C7 again. But from what I can tell, it seems to follow this same, like, schematic, I guess you could call it, except that the air bubble is smaller. And you can hear that the sound has a little bit more edge to it, and I think it's because of that square cut. Let me try again. Can feel where the C7 might want to be, and wow. Okay. Okay, I think I have to go like that. Woo! Not quite. Different head joint. We're on a different head joint. Also, Alec, thank you for confirming that it's probably sterling silver for the lip plate. Okay, and yes, Nicholas is right that it is also extra for the 14 karat lip plate and riser. Yep. So yeah, it's high up there, but because it's so small, weirdly enough, because the air bubble is smaller, it is harder to pinpoint, like to get it like in the exact spot it needs to be. It's so smaller air bubble means that you have to be more precise or have a smaller mouth. Okay, so but it follows the same thing. I'll put a note here that the only thing with the M2 cut is that the air bubble is smaller, but it really follows the same thing. So let's go here. So M2 head joint equals smaller air bubble. Okay, yeah. But weirdly enough, I am finding that because the air bubble is smaller, it is harder. You have to be more precise. Definitely more precise. If you have a large mouth and you're playing the M2, you're probably going to feel like it's super finicky. Like it really just wants to be in like really tiny, like little spots. I think you have essentially more margin of error with the S4. That's what I would say. But the smaller air bubble definitely makes it a lot more comfortable if you have a smaller mouth. So let me put this here. M2 equals smaller air bubble, which means more precision. Definitely need more precision. Okay, very cool. So I'm just gonna, mess really quickly with tone, color, dynamics, that type of thing. I'm guessing it's gonna be the exact same thing as the S4. We're just probably just playing with the air bubble. there is a slight difference. And I think it's because the air bubble is smaller. So because the air bubble is smaller, when you make the air bubble bigger, you're making the air bubble bigger, like you have the same kind of top point of the air bubble, but it's the bottom point of the air bubble that expands. So you expand like this. Whereas I felt that on the S4, the whole thing, like the top part needed to come up, bottom part needs to come up, come down, the sides need to come out in order to make the air bubble big. This one though, it's like pinpoint and then it like grows down and out, down and away from that air bubble. And this also is, at least I'm finding, for the tone color as well. So like that the top point of the air bubbles stays the same. Any sort of like manipulation of shape is actually growing out from that top point. So air bubble here, and then you're kind of growing like this and then growing outward. It's super interesting. I'm just going to test it a little bit more. Although maybe I'll write it in here first. So let's say M2. Okay. Then we know we're talking about M2 here. So the M2, so manipulate the shape for dynamics tone color, but keep the same top point of the air bubble in the same place. Yeah, so I'm gonna test it a little bit. So because of this, when you go, like, so let's say your air bubble is this size, right? When you go like even smaller, your air bubble is like here. And then if you want to go louder, your air bubble is like this. So that's dynamics. Now in terms of like tone color, so again, let's say your air bubble is here. At least I'm finding that when you do the thinner tone color, it feels like you're doing this. And like a really wide, like rich tone color, you're actually doing more of a triangle. Oops, that's a horrible representation of what I feel. Oh gosh. I hope you guys know how hard it is to actually do this. So this is dynamics and this is tone color. Yeah. So like you see how it changes the shape that you have to make based on the fact that you need to keep the top point of the air bubble in the same spot. That's it. That's pretty interesting to me. That is pretty interesting. Okay. We're now going to test this. Also, hello, Lippity. How are you doing? And welcome back, Michael. Let's do a little bit of Genshin Impact main theme, just for that lyricism, into middle, high, low register. and then we'll do a little bit of the Rapid as Wildfires. All right, I think you guys can tell I'm way more comfortable on this head joint. It is because of the smaller air bubble. So if you have a smaller mouth, you're probably going to like the M2 more than the S4. We have confirmation here from Nicholas, just another flute guy, that Nicholas likes the S4 more because you are on the taller side. So yeah, you probably, like Nicholas, you probably felt, if you tried the M2, did you feel that it was super finicky? Because like I can imagine that if you're trying to like play with this tiny air bubble, that you're like, where the heck do I put it, in my mouth? So yeah, right, you felt it was finicky. Yeah, okay, I'm right. I was right. Yeah, so like, but you guys can hear how much the M2 just like works much better for my much smaller mouth. However, I will say that while I do have a smaller mouth, I don't think I have enough space in front of my teeth. Because one thing I noticed was that, especially when I was getting into the low notes and I was trying to get that like rich sound, I needed to do that thing that we have here where like I need to open up like in a triangle shape below where the air bubble is. And that dips in front of the lower teeth, which I really don't have a lot of room there. So I really had to like play with the lip plate basically barely touching my lips in order to just try and make some more room in there. So I would say that smaller mouth, and if you have more room in front of your lower teeth. Interestingly, I came across that part of my Trevor James 5X Piccolo live stream. I came across that part because I was looking for like different parts of my streams that I can, make into little shorts. And I came across the part where I talked about lip sizes. I have a suspicion, and this is just a suspicion. I have a suspicion that if you have larger lower lips, you probably have more fleshiness out there, which might mean, depending on where your teeth in your jaw sits, you might have more room to play with. It's just a suspicion. Just a suspicion. I'm not saying that is exactly what it is, but I'm just thinking out loud. I think that might actually be advantageous for you on certain head joints and flutes. So that I could feel I did not have a lot of room for personally, but you guys can hear it plays really beautifully. So now we're going to test. I think this first page of Rapid as Wildfires is perfect. So we're going to test double tonguing, technical stuff, going fast, and how stable this is. I did forget to test double tonguing. This is what this is making me realize. So I'm going to test double tonguing really quick. Okay, I know what I was doing wrong. So because the air bubble on the S4 is much bigger, I actually used more surface area at the tip of my tongue. For the M2, because the air bubble is so much smaller, I actually have to kind of use less surface area on the tip of my tongue. So basically like narrow the amount of tip of tongue I'm using. So I have to be very precise with just the very tip of my tongue to play this. Because I was like, why is it sounding so blah, 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 blah? It's because I'm using too much tongue. Okay, we figured that out, so we're going to keep going. And sliding all over these open holes. That's where the pitch bends are coming from. I am so sorry. These are, I swear they feel slightly bigger than on my flute. So I'm just kind of like, wow. Okay. I am really noticing how precise the tip of the tongue needs to be. So you are doing that almost false double tonguing, same as on the S4, but you have to be way more precise about it because that air bubble is so small. So if you just laser focus and just stay light, almost not do double tonguing, but keep it just right at the tip of your tongue, then it's great. So I'm sure you guys may have noticed that the lyrical part's totally fine because I don't have to worry about tonguing. I do have to worry about slop though. Slobberiness. I'm leaking all over my lap right now. But then once the tonguing came in, I think you guys might have noticed that I was having a little bit of trouble keeping it super precise. Because I think weirdly, even though the air bubble is smaller and thus is more comfortable for me, because it requires my tongue to be so precise, like just the tip of my tongue, I'm actually feeling like my tongue is too big for this. You know? So I'm going to give that last tongued part another go and see if I can make it really, really precise. It takes a lot of concentration, but at least to me, that sounded better. So let's put this in here. Because air bubble is so much smaller, only the very tip of tongue is used. So less surface area than S4. So again, everyone has different tongue sizes. So some people have larger tongues, some people have smaller tongues. You can absolutely have a smaller mouth, but have a larger tongue, which seems like that might be the case for me. So, you see what I mean by, like, you know, when you're trying these like high-end flutes, you're really looking for your glass slipper. You're looking for something that fits you precisely, like the size of your mouth, how much space you have behind the teeth, in front of the teeth, how big is your tongue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's, I think that was a pretty interesting discovery here. We're done with the Burkart. We need to move on to the Powell now. So let's do that. I'm just going to swab this out really quickly, and then I will give it a good cleanup afterwards. Yeah, let's go, Powell. Okay, so we will put this away, and then I promise, guys, I promise, even though I probably won't have time to clean it up on camera, or I might, we'll see. I promise I will clean this up. No worries, okay? But I just want to put it away so that things aren't just like rolling everywhere, you know? Okay, so let's, there we go. Ooh, ooh. Okay, so we'll put that here, and then we will put this head joint in here. Does the 998 feel like a gold head joint? Like, in my experience of this, it still feels silver to me, but like an insanely dark silver, which is exactly what it is. I would say that it has the sound of the warmth, but the feeling playing it is like still like playing a silver flute. Does that make sense? So like I can hear the warmth, but I'm still putting like silver power into it. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I'm sure that I sounded more like a gold flute to you guys, but I still felt like I was playing a silver. Which, you know, might be something that some people want, right? Okay, so now we have a Powell with a, I don't know if you guys can see that here, but it has a wing. And we have the rest of the flute here. So let's do this. So look at this beauty. So pretty, right? Look at that. So pretty. So I will get into what all of this is. Let me open the flute so you guys can oogle it while I read out the specs. Here we go. Maybe I'll lay this in here so you guys can see. Oh, so pretty. I love it. Okay, so the flute that we are working with here now is the Powell Handmade custom flute in sterling silver. So this is probably going to sound brighter in comparison to what we just played. Sterling silver hand cut head joint with sterling silver lip plate, riser, and crown is what comes with it. I believe the two that I'm trying today are upgrades from that, as you can see from the two lip plates here. But let's talk about the body. So the body is sterling silver body and mechanism. Powell pinless mechanism. So we also have the Powell proprietary pinless mechanism. Soldered silver tone holes. Silver rings, ribs, and posts. The modern Powell scale, so that's their tuning. French open hole model, pointed key arms, white gold springs, Straubinger pads, 0.016 inch tubing, so the standard wall tubing, tuned at A equals 442. It is available at A equals 440 and A equals 444. I like that it's available in that if you want. Offset G, split E mechanism, D sharp roller, B foot joint. So it has almost all the bells and whistles except for no C sharp trill on this particular one. Okay, very cool. So the head joints that we have here though, the head joints are, the one in the case is the, so it's one of their hand cut head joints, sterling silver, tube, 14 karat gold lip plate and riser, and silver crown, 0.016 inch tubing, and it is the soloist cut. So this is the soloist cut. Then we have this one that has the wings, and this one is sterling silver tube, 14 karat gold lip plate riser, and gold wings. 0.016 inch standard wall tubing, Lumina style cut. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I want to say Lumina. Or is it I think it's Lumina. I think. So now, price-wise, as of February 2025, but things will change over time, the flute, the base flute without the like upgrade to the, the gold lip plate and riser. So if all of this was sterling silver, we are looking at, with all of these bells and whistles that we have here, minus the C sharp trill, will be $19,395. If you can add, I believe you can add the C sharp trill though. So again, please head down to the bottom bar below and you will see that I have linked for you guys the Powell flute listing. And yeah, you can add the C sharp trill. If you add the C sharp trill, it will be an additional $1,075. So yeah, you're looking at a 20 plus thousand flute. Basically in the same price range as the other one we just looked at. Very cool. Okay, so now that we have all of that, 19K now. How much was it when you last looked at it? Inflation is silly, isn't it? Do you always side eye the wings? So, Manuel, my understanding of the wings is that it sort of helps kind of like focus your airstream for you. So it's really good for people who tend to naturally blow with a much wider airstream. It just could be like the shape of their lips. They might just have wider lips. And so, forcing people with wider lips to focus down like crazy would be like them playing a piccolo, but on a flute. That is my understanding of how wings can help. So I think Additionally, because of, because it essentially helps focus down your sound, I believe that, this might actually be one of the ways that some professionals, like move toward a much looser, relaxed embouchure, right? Because they don't have to form such a like focused opening, such a focused aperture, right? Because the wings can help with that, right? So it allows them to stay more relaxed. And who knows, it's there's no right way, honestly. Like when you get into like the upper kind of levels of playing the flute, you'll quickly find out there's actually no one right way of doing it. You either sound good or you don't. Okay? And a lot of the question of like what flute do you get for yourself when you become a professional has to do with your work. So like, do you have to play for a really long time? Right? So if you have to play for a really long time, like crazy long hours, you might want to have a head joint that allows you to play with a kind of a foo-foo, really loose embouchure so that you don't basically strain your lips, right? But let's say you don't play that much and you like to have that focus. You like to be in the driver's seat, like creating that focus, right? Then like that would absolutely, help. Wouldn't a different cut solve that? Maybe, maybe not. There is so much out there, It also kind of depends on like what head joints, what flutes do you come across, Yeah, exactly. Do you sound great? Then keep going. Exactly. Like that's exactly the point I'm making, is that like, when you get to this level of flute shopping, you're really just finding your glass slipper. And you might actually have several options. Like maybe what this combo, cut plus wing, might do for you might be exactly what another completely different cut by a completely different maker would do, right? But both are fantastic options, right? So you just kind of have to figure out like what you like. It's a preference thing at this point. It's like there's no right or wrong. Probably the only wrong that I could say is what I was saying earlier, which is if you have to do like mouth gymnastics like how I'm doing, right now, then maybe that's not the flute for you, right? Wand chooses the wizard. Exactly. Like what I used to say, right? So anyway, we better get playing. So let's start out with the head joint that's in here, because we have been playing with flutes that don't have the wing, and I would rather end on playing this with the wings, because maybe I can also be more loosey-goosey with my embouchure towards the end of this super long stream, right? So we're gonna put this off to the side and try it afterwards. Okay, let's do this now. Wings to fly off into the bright future. Exactly. Yeah, I learned the term tsubasa, like the Japanese word for wings, from flute lip plates. That's actually where I learned that word, tsubasa. And like, and my husband thinks I'm a giant nerd. Because yeah, John and I are learning Japanese on Duolingo. And then like we were talking about like other words we knew because he'd taken a course in Japanese before. And then I was like, well, I know that tsubasa means wings, right? And then, or like, I don't know, it was like a video game or something where like someone had the name Tsubasa or the word Tsubasa in their name. And I was like, oh yeah, Tsubasa means wings. And he's like, how do you know that? And I was like, from flutes? Yeah. I'm a weeb and a flute nerd. Anyway, let's do this. We need to rename our notes here. Okay, so we are working with, and I'm just going to copy and paste. So I'll put here, we know it's handmade, so we're just going to cut that out of here. Okay, and then we're going to do here, this is the soloist cut. Is that right? Yes, soloist cut. So soloist cut, soloist head joint. 14K lip plate and riser plus riser. Okay, wonderful. I'm just going to center that really quickly. Okay, and then time to play, time to mess around. Go. Okay, immediately I can feel I really need to focus down like the aperture between my lips. I need to focus it. Also, give me a second, guys. I'm just going to see what's going on with tonight's plans. Okay. Give me a sec. I'm going to ask my hubs if I can, if I have time. Not if I can, but we might have plans for tonight. So let me just ask the hubs if I have time. Okay, we'll keep that open and see what he says. But for now, let's just mess with this. Wow. It's like even the space inside of the mouth has to be very narrow. Like it's very, very narrow. Wow. Well, I feel like I'm going. Oh, that's real narrow. I think I would like the Tsubasa head joint on this. Oh, is it? Is the soloist the smallest lip plate of all the Powell cuts? I can feel it. I think it's actually too small for me, which is a first. But accessibility, okay? We want lots of different shapes out there. So this is a good thing. It's just that I think I am just finally like encountering something that is actually too narrow for me. Yeah. Supercar zippy feel. That's a great way of explaining it. Daniel Sharp is right on the money. Absolutely. Wow. And the soloist cut was developed in collaboration with Paul Edmund Davies. Really? So can we make any inferences that maybe Paul Edmund Davies prefers to play like this? Huh. Interesting. Does it have a sharp drop off? Oh, good thing I was holding on to it. I wouldn't call it a sharp drop off. Okay, guys, I'm gonna put a tiny bit of tape on this just so that that doesn't happen again. Okay, probably doesn't need that much. I'm just gonna, there we go. just a wee bit. We just need a wee bit. So it's a little, yeah, that's better. Yeah, okay, good. It doesn't have like a crazy sharp drop off, at least from what I can see. Oh, you might be thinking of the venti. Yeah, we don't have the venti here. We only have the soloist and the lumina. Lumina. Okay. It's still moving around. I need the full piece of tape. Okay, that's better. That's way better. This is like slightly moving around as I was playing it. Okay. Okay. Also very forward playing, but combined with the fact that I almost feel like I'm playing a piccolo. Like that's how tiny I need to make the space inside my mouth, like narrow. I'm gonna think piccolo. Maybe that might make it better. Okay, so you guys can probably tell, it's a hair further back. Just a hair further back from where the Burkart was. But the most important thing is that it feels like I'm playing a piccolo. Exactly as Nicholas is saying here, I am forced to use a ton of support in air. But it's like playing a piccolo. So maybe this is great for piccolo mains. So people who normally who play the piccolo more, you might maybe. first one is more what I'm used to. It's the high G that is like further down and out. So interestingly enough, the low C is a little bit further back from the Burkart, but the high E is actually in front of the teeth still. So everything is in front of the teeth, because by the time I hit the high E, I'm still in front of the teeth. And then the G is lower down. So lower and more forward. Like way lower and more forward. I think that's why I can hit the like B flat and the C, because they come up from there. And it's not so high that I don't have space for it. Yeah. The high G is actually sits really low. It sits low and forward. It's super interesting. Yep. Okay. I got the map down, so let's draw. Okay. Let's head on over to a brand new page. So we've got here our Powell. Wow. Okay, so this is the Powell Silver. Plus, was it soloist head joint with the 14 karat lip plate plus riser. Okay, so we've got our mouth. Oh, no, it needs to come up a little bit. Close enough. Then we have our lips, our purple lips. We either have hypothermia or we're just feeling fabulous today with our lip color. Okay, that's good enough. So our low C isn't as forward. Like it's more like right here. So this is our C4. And then what it does is by the time we get up to, I want to say, our E6 is in front of the front teeth. So this is E6. So C5 is just a little bit behind. There's a jump higher like this to the G5, that is. And then the C6. Yeah. C6 is here. Right there. So that's C6. The G6 like plops right down and out. It feels like it's here. It's really, really low and forward. G6. Then B flat 6 is a bit higher, like here. B flat 6. And then the C7 is just a bit above that, like here. That's C7. So I'm just going to go back and forth between the last flute. So you can see how it's, do you see how everything is like much more vertical here? It's way more vertical. There isn't quite as much forward backward motion. This is everything crunched in more. So the lower notes are not quite as forward. The high notes are actually not quite as back. Everything is just kind of like quite vertical, quite stacked. Really, the only note that like really juts out more are the absolute lowest notes. So with that in mind, this means that all of our tonguing is between the teeth. And I'm guessing because it's so narrow, I think my tongue has to be very narrow as well. So let's try that. Is a breeze on this thing because you do not need to change where it is at all. Even single tonguing is just static because everything is in front of the teeth. So your tongue just has to be there. That's it. That's it. Every note is in front of the teeth. Completely static. That's incredible. So let's write a few notes here. So we have more vertical motion of where air bubble sits. So everything is in front of teeth. So tonguing is static as a result. So tongue between teeth. And then you want to do the very light double tonguing, super light double tonguing, almost false tonguing. Like that one. Wow. Okay. We're now going to do some tone stuff. Tone color dynamics. Okay, this is one of those flutes where if you want to mess with the tone color or like the volume, the space you're opening up is behind the air bubble. So it's the rest of your mouth. So the rest of your mouth behind your teeth, you can open it up wider, and you can sort of like, you can drop your lower palate, you know, give a lot of space, and that will change the tone color. It'll make it richer. If you, I think, don't give a lot of space, then you get that more laser beam kind of like the thinner sound. Yeah, this is a like lower palate. It's that space behind, like behind and below your lower front teeth. The space under your tongue. So you can do it with me right now. You'll notice that you can absolutely drop that space. You can drop it low. You can also like kind of lift it a little bit. Maybe use your tongue to sort of cut off that space in there. That's what creates the like Bigger sound, smaller sound, thinner sound, richer sound. I don't think it has very much to do with the air bubble in the front. Okay, I found something out pretty interesting and I have to draw it. If I don't think you guys will really get it. So our air bubble is out here, right? But the space that we need to like open up or close up in order to get that thinner or richer sound, that like softer, well, the softer and louder, definitely to go softer, you make the air bubble even softer. But so I'm finding for this one, so let's say your air bubble is from kind of like your side profile here. We'll say your air bubble is here. Okay. Now you want to, like if you want a nice kind of like thin sound, then you want this. So we're looking at this side profile. Okay. Your air stream should be nice and narrow. Okay, so I'll make a note here that this is your side profile. Side profile. Okay, so that's if you want the thinner sound. If you want the richer sound, you actually open up the space behind, like this. Okay, so this is rich. So it interestingly enough, the way that you like manipulate your tone color here is what you do with the shape of the entire airstream, not the air bubble here. So this is thin. Okay, so now that will move. So this means that, let's say you want to really enrich your notes around C6. That means that you need to lift this area. So you also have to lift your soft palate on the roof of your mouth, as well as like giving a lot of space down here. Does that make sense? And then your low notes, because your air bubble is much lower, you do need to kind of like open up this area here, but you'll really feel it here. Like this area, you'll need to straight up drop. Like the area behind your lower front teeth, you'll need to drop that palate down quite a bit. So it moves with your up and down wherever your air bubble is sitting. I hope that makes sense. So I'll put a note here that it moves with the air bubble. So moves with air bubble. Okay, that's the really interesting thing I noticed. Cool. Okay, now let's mess around with the mechanism. So here we go. Back to here. Basically makes more room to sound bigger. Exactly. And then less room to sound softer, thinner, that type of thing. Yeah. So, okay, here we go. comparison to the Burkart, it's lighter. So the resistance is lighter. There's not as much resistance. It's lighter. I would say it still has bounce, but it's not as snappy. A lot of times what I find is that this is what happens. You either want it super light, but you don't have a lot of bounce, simply because of just physically that's what happens. The lighter you let your keys be, the less snappy they are. If you want them snappier, there needs to be a little bit of resistance, because it's kind of like just the fact that like it's like a diving board, right? Like you get more snap of the diving board if the diving board is has more resistance, right? It's like thicker, has more resistance. So yeah, again, this is something that some people prefer, like me. So I prefer it lighter and actually with slightly less snap. So it makes it so that like when I play the stuff that I like, it doesn't accidentally sound too snappy, if that makes sense. Okay, let me try out the rest of like the auxiliary keys. Hubs is here telling me to check my messages. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Let me answer my hubby so we can figure out what we're doing tonight. Okay, in that case, that means that I have plenty of time to go until like 5:30. Okay, perfect. Let's keep going. So. Oh. If the keys are lighter, you can feel more of a difference with the split E. Like you can feel it's heavier. Now, to be fair, I didn't notice it until I went to look for it. Okay. Like if I just wasn't even thinking about split E at all, like this is why I haven't even mentioned it until now. I wasn't looking for it, so like I didn't notice. But now that I notice how light the keys are, I'm like, oh, the right hand index and middle finger keys feel a little heavier. I think it's because of the split E. It's a professional flute. What can I say? It's super even. They're all delightfully light keys, very even. Nothing's floppy. It's what you would expect of a professional flute. There's nothing to complain about. So, but, however, preference-wise, okay, light. So this is light mechanism. Less bounce / snap. Okay, like this is what I noticed. You want it to be lighter, it ain't gonna be as snappy. Okay, if you want it snappier, it needs to have like more medium resistance. Now the nice thing about this kind of like pinless mechanism, as far as I understand, this is also Powell's proprietary pinless mechanism. My understanding of pinless mechanism is that you can absolutely get it customized. So like it just so happens that this is the setup that I have here. Am I correct? Can you guys can feel free to correct me if you'd like. Interesting. High C fingering is everything down without thumb and plus and put the pinky on gizmo. I want to try it. That is way more in tune. That's incredible. You can play like super pianissimo on that. That's so cool. Yeah, no thumb. Thank you for teaching me that. That was really cool. Wow. Okay. There we go. I'm so confused by this. Why are my notes so weird looking? There. Oh, something shifted. Okay. Light mechanism, less bounce and snap. Otherwise, all the keys super even. Insanely even. Very even mechanism. Oops. There goes my A's. They're all gone. Okay. All right. I do feel that Powell's make me support like crazy. Like I am absolutely feeling it. Okay. Now, a great place to feel it is on the Genshin main theme. So, let's try it. That was an ab workout. What the heck? if I didn't have my support going, it just like the sound is like kind of like muted and like not really all there, kind of unstable. It tends to crack. The moment you like kick that support into high, yes, it sounds dead. That's exactly it. It sounds dead. But the moment I kicked it in, is like this sparkle comes through in the sound. I will say one thing I have noticed, that because that this requires such a narrow airstream, I feel the strain personally. So it really made me think, if someone is normally a piccolo player, I think they would really like this. Like, I'm guessing the soloist cut. So if you're a piccolo main and you're looking for a professional flute, you might want to think about trying the soloist cut. Because the other thing about playing piccolo too is that your support is always there. Like, especially if you are a piccolo main, you're constantly playing. You're like playing with crazy support, you know? Yeah. You wonder if the soloist is more forgiving. Maybe. I didn't think so. Because, like, when I was just playing just now, like, in the beginning of the Genshin main theme, I was like, that's just sounding super dead. And then I, like, kicked in my support into high gear, and it's just like, whew, there's that, like, little sparkly brilliance coming through. Oh, compared to the Philharmonic? Maybe. I don't know. Well, maybe I might try one later this year or something. Yeah. So, yes, needs a ton of support. Okay, if you don't support, ain't no brilliance. So I'll put here tons of support for sparkling, brilliant sound like piccolo. So that's really what it made me think of, like the combination of like the narrow airstream with the crazy support. I was like, I feel like I'm playing the piccolo. Now, Rapid as Wildfires. I'm very curious to see how consistent the tonguing is, because it's just between the teeth. So the reason for the crack was because I'm used to moving my tongue around. And so I tongued too high and then it cracked. Like exactly what I thought was going to happen. So I'm not used to keeping my tongue static. So I'm going to try it again and really focus on keeping my tongue static just between my teeth. That's wild. So my tongue keeps wanting to go down for the low A and then come back up to the E. But like I really have to force myself to keep tonguing the A exactly in the same spot so I don't drop the tongue. When I do it correctly, it's great. And then also like when I'm going up into the high notes, just that tongue is just right there, static location just between the teeth, like faux French tonguing between the teeth. And it's like so crisp in the entire range from low register into the high register. That's incredible. I think like when people are talking about the consistency of the articulation, that's why it is consistent. It's because all your air bubble business is like in front of your teeth. So you're going to be tonguing just between the teeth for the entire range of the flute. Incredible. I'm not used to it, but that's incredible. getting so tired because I have to remember to like support like crazy, but then also keep all of my air bubble business in front of my teeth, plus keep my tongue in the same spot. Okay, I need to just pretend I'm playing the piccolo. Okay, I'm going to do this last section again, but just pretend like I'm playing the piccolo. Playing this after a really hard workout this morning, yeah, I feel bullied. I absolutely feel bullied by this. Huh. It's like playing a giant piccolo. I think that's my personal like conclusion from this, is that it feels like playing a giant piccolo. So if you are a piccolo main, if you're a piccolo main, you're going to love this flute. Takes the same amount of crazy support, super narrow airstream, and then plus your tonguing is just in one spot, consistent. I think for a piccolo player, they would freaking love this. So this is the Powell custom flute in sterling silver with the soloist head joint cut. I think it's probably the soloist head joint cut that's going to like do it, you know? Yeah. Yes, like a piccolo. This thing plays like a piccolo. It's a giant piccolo. It's incredible. What the heck? Woo! Okay, now we need to move on to our last delightful little piece, which is the Lumina head joint cut with the wings. So I'll put this in our review title here as well. So this is I'm going to have to start doing some shorthand here. So Lumina head joint, 14 karat lip plate plus riser plus wings. All right. So we'll do that. So I'm curious, Lumina head joint. We'll do that. Okay. So I think I have a suspicion. Like, here, let me swab this. And then I'm going to do kind of like last time with the Burkart head joints. I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison close up for you guys to see. Oh, I feel so, I should have started with this. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Okay. Let me switch over to this screen here. And so sorry, everything is, you know, out of whack here. But we'll have the two right next to each other. Then what I'm going to do is scooch our thing in, and then I need to focus on my hand. Okay. Oh. The Lumina cut is rounder, isn't it? I think it's rounder. It's so shiny. My camera is having issues. Okay. Yeah. I'm so sorry, guys. It's so shiny. There. Slightly better. So, yeah, the Lumina cut is rounder. It's a bit more of like a sharper, like kind of straighter edge on the left, rounder on the right. Interesting. It's like it's rounder on the outside. Do you notice that? Like it's The straight edge here is like way straighter than the soloist one that I was just playing. You see that? Yeah, I think the Lumina is rounder. Lip plate is broader. Yes, much broader. You guys see that? That's crazy how much broader that is. Yeah. The lip plate is very rectangular. Yeah. Huh. I wonder how that's going to make everything sound. So let's put this here. Hello. Okay. Does this need to be... No, this one's a tighter fit. Perfect. Ah, yes, that's so much more comfortable. Okay, so let's see what are the differences. Okay. Oh, yes. I can go wider now with my Airstream. Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay, two things are different. One is that the air bubble is much bigger. So air bubble is, I want to say, 2 or 3 times as big as on the soloist. And the Airstream that is coming behind it, it's a lot more loosey-goosey. Like you don't have to like really narrow it down into like this like little narrow Airstream inside of your mouth. Like you have a lot more space to work with. Yeah. So now the second thing that's different. Oops. There we go. The second thing that's different is that this entire kind of schematic that I have here for like where the air bubble wants to sit, it's tucked forward a little bit more. It's the same thing, but just more forward. So what this is telling me is that I can probably use the same kind of tonguing between the teeth. Not only that, the tongue does not have to be quite so narrow. So I can use more surface area on the tip of my tongue. So my tongue, I think, is actually pretty wide. So I think this is going to be a lot more comfortable for me personally. So let's test that. Let's test the articulation. Way more forgiving. But yes, so I can use more surface area of my tongue. Wonderful. Let's write all this down. So the first thing is air bubble much bigger. No need to focus Airstream into as narrowly as a soloist cut. Can use more surface area on tip of tongue. Yeah. And because of all of these things, it is much more forgiving. So I now want to try out tone color dynamics type stuff. This one plays with the air bubble, not the space behind it. So it's back to kind of like how I'm used to on my flute. My flute does it this way. So it's just narrow air bubble is thin, wide, flat air bubble is rich. Let me try like just straight dynamics though. Yeah, so from what I can tell, the when the air bubble grows, it grows on all sides. So everything is growing around it. So the air bubble just needs to be like the midpoint of the air bubble. The center of the air bubble just needs to be in the spot that that I've drawn here. That's all. So, okay. Now that I know that we're just playing with, so this is way closer to how I normally play. So I think you guys can hear the ease in which I'm playing. Let's test our 2 songs. So Genshin Impact main theme for the lyricism, going to middle register, high register, low notes. Okay, just because it's easier to play, it does not mean that I am exempt from having to support like crazy. So in the beginning, again, I was like getting some of that dead sound and I really wanted that sparkle. So I just like kicked in that. I don't know if you guys noticed myself like kind of like readjusting how I was sitting, but like, yeah, I really had to like kick that in. And then the sparkle came back. So, okay, more things to add here. dynamics and tone color, play with air bubble. Your typical things. Bigger air bubble equals forte. Smaller air bubble equals pianissimo. Narrow air bubble equals thin. Wide flat air bubble equals rich. Yeah, like I had to kind of change my lip shape when I was like getting into like the really low notes, because the low notes are so forward that I found that I had to even kind of like, I have to like pretend I was making that shape with my lips in order to like make it wide enough, like have enough room for it to be wide enough. Okay. Tons of support equals brilliance. Yeah, if you don't support it, you're gonna lose that brilliance on this flute. Okay, now for rapid as wildfires. Oh, okay. It is way more forgiving though, for me. Like this head joint absolutely fits me way better than the soloist one does. Okay, here we go. Again, I forgot to test articulation. Let me do that real quick. Okay, for some reason, because I'm allowed to use more surface area on the tip of my tongue, when I do the K part of the double tongue, I really don't need to go as high, like pretending like I'm hitting the roof of my mouth. I'm more so pretending I'm hitting the back of my front teeth. So we're gonna try this here, and hopefully that cleans that up. It takes a ton of support, but if you do it with good support, it's freaking fantastic. The consistency in the tonguing is amazing, just because it can be so static. I think I'm personally not used to like feeling like I'm double tonguing against the back of my front teeth, like top front teeth. That's so forward my tongue doesn't really want to curl that way. So for anyone's tongue who does end up curling that way, you'll find this really comfortable. But yeah, it's great. Hey Josh, hey Luring, how are you guys doing? Whew, that's a workout. And it's 5:30, exactly when I thought I was gonna be done. So I'm done. I'm pretty tired after that. So I need to I think I'll do a more like a deeper clean tomorrow morning before I ship these guys off. But let me do just a quick cleaning, so I can be on my merry way for tonight's plans. So let me just do this really quick here. I'm just going to swab this super quick. It's so slobbery. Oh, I put so much air into this. That was super fun. I have forgotten in the last couple of streams, but I just want to say a big thank you to Flute Center for lending me these flutes for me to do all these crazy reviews. Without them, I would not be able to, do such a, have such a crazy job. This is an amazing job to have. So I will talk to the Flute Center about what we're going to review next. I'm going to see if they can get me a Lewis lot. Now, I'm not going to make promises though. Okay, guys, I can't make promises. I really have to kind of rely on what they have. A lot of what you see that they have might be out on trial to other people. I certainly am not the only person taking these flutes out on trial. So I need to see if they have it. Yes. So I am using, because these flutes are out on trial, which means that you have to use your own swab and polishing cloths. So I'm using Just Another Flute guys here, Nicholas's Cam Voyage flute cloth, swabbing cloth, and polishing cloth. So yes, I love it. I'm not even going to lie. One of the things that I love the most about it is the fact that I can just, plop it in with my, with my laundry. So easy. Okay, I'm just doing a rough wipe down, guys. I'm not doing like a crazy wipe down because I don't have time. So we're doing my fast wipe down. This is just to get like the most obvious oil fingerprints off. There we go. Oh, you guys might want a more zoomed out version. There we go. Cool. Let's do this. Yes, Valentine's bundle. Yes, please tell me your little news. Oh my gosh, I get all the behind the scenes. This is so wild. Yes, oily people, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's just the way it be, guys. I wish that I wasn't so oily all the time, but I am, and that's just, I'm trying to be thankful for it because it's probably the reason why I don't have a lot of wrinkles. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to choose to be happy. But at the same time, it is annoying. I can't even hold, those paper programs that you get at recitals and whatever. I can't even hold them for a very long time because the amount of oil that I have in my fingers will actually warp the paper. That's how bad I've got it. I think I stuffed this in a really weird way. Let me try that again. There we go. Ugh. There we go. Nice and dry. Okay, and then I'm going to put this away in the box. The box is here. Man, what a crazy life I live. I still can't fully believe that I do this for a job. Okay, let me also wipe down the other one. This one's pretty wiped down. Program notes, right? Yeah. Yes, especially if they're glossy. And if they're black, even worse, because then you can see the fingerprints too. Oh, it's so terrible. Like a kid with greasy fingers. Exactly. So I don't know if you do this, but I certainly did. Do you do this thing where you like try to hold it only on the edges? You just try to like, you try to hold it on the edges? Have you done that? I have done that out of desperation before. Or I like try to have like a folder on me that I can just put it in. Yeah, with your nails? Yeah. I think this is an oily person problem. Like, you know, my hubs didn't even know that like this is a problem one could have until I told him. And I was like, no, like you must understand. I cannot hold paper without it warping. It's crazy. Oh, Jay Shu, you missed it. It's okay. It's okay. It'll be here forever. You can watch it whenever you want. I'm just doing sort of a quick cleanup right now because I need to head out to dinner. Oy. I figured since I have to clean it anyway, at least do the quick cleanup anyway. Might as well do it in front of you guys. Silver lining is we'll look like we're in our 30s when we're in our 60s. Yes, until we have that sharp drop off where we suddenly turn into little Asian people, little Asian grandma and grandpas. Have you seen that? Please tell me you've seen that meme where like, you know, basically you look young forever until you just become an Asian granny or grandpa. And then you just like, you just shrink. You just become super tiny. I feel like that's just kind of what happens. My gosh. But hey, you know what? I'm gonna try not to complain, man. I certainly know that I'm old enough now that people know for a fact. They know for a fact I am not in college. So I don't get the are you in college questions anymore. I don't get that. I'm beyond that point now. For a while, I want to say like in my late 20s, I was still being asked if I was in college. And then I noticed after a while, I was like, oh, like when I got into my 30s, I started to notice that people were no longer asking me if I was in college. And I was like, I have aged to the point where people no longer ask. Clearly, I am looking older. But whatever. Weirdly enough, I actually kind of prefer the way I look now than I did 10 years ago. I don't know. Aging has like actually done me a whole lot of good. Super tiny and super powerful kung fu masters. I know. Piper Maid, hello. You've been watching. Thank you for saying hi. It's really nice to be able to say hi back to you. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Did I wipe the foot joint? I don't know. I do this all so automatically. I never know if I actually did it, but like it looked too fingerprinty. Okay. I might give it a better wipe down tomorrow. We'll see. I'll check how everything looks tomorrow. Hey, Quan. How are you? Hello, hello. Okay, so we have completed our review of these two beautiful flutes. They're for very different people, as you guys can tell. So, you know, again, just sort of demonstrating that when you get to this level of flute shopping, you're truly just shopping for preferences, you know. Like in terms of like how well they play amazing. It's just for different people. So happy flute shopping, guys. And even if you're not shopping to buy a flute, happy flute shopping anyway, because you guys are watching this. So I mean, I feel like I'm flute shopping when I do these, so it's super fun. But anyway, let me, you know what, I should probably at least put the cases here while I sign out. There we go. But yeah, so you guys, thank you so much for joining. This would not happen if not for you guys. I love you all so very much. Please stay happy, healthy, and safe, because there is no music without the musician. All right? I will see you guys sometime again next week. We'll see which flutes come in. All right. Laters, guys. Bye.